Not a review. I'm not blowing anyone's mind here praising this camera. Short story long, I used to dig deeper into camera tech on this channel. I shot on Canon, I was reviewing lenses, then Samsung broke my heart with the NX line, and I needed a practical solution for 4K video where I eventually arrived at Micro Four Thirds. After reviewing the Xperia 5, I got an email from Sony PR asking if I was really using a Panasonic like I link in my gear list below every video. I think they were making fun of me, but that email conversation ultimately ended up in a short loaner so I could test drive the A7 III and a couple of my favorite lenses. I haven't shot full frame in a long while, not since the original Canon 5D. Honestly, I've mostly stuck with APS-C. So no grand surprise here, the A7 III is a monster camera, and Sony deserves all the praise they've been getting with their mirrorless lineup. Shooting full frame was a refreshing change of pace. These days, I mostly lean on phone cameras to capture those spontaneous moments. And my Panasonic mostly just stays here in the gadget lab. Starting with the good stuff, images off this sensor and Sony glass are simply stunning. It's shocking how fast you trust this system. I'm still a champion for phone photography, but a phone shooter can pick up a few bad habits. One of those bad habits is what I like to call phone futility. Certain lighting conditions, moving subjects. There are situations where you just don't bother trying to get the shot, because even with all the fancy HDR and night mode software, you probably won't get much you'd want to show off. The A7 III is like shooting with night vision by comparison. I took a couple test shots of some ornaments, a couple indoor shots, took it out to shoot some Christmas lights. I tried freezing toddler action. The camera just never let me down. So by the time we were opening up presents on Christmas morning, it was a cakewalk, snapping pics of my daughter tearing open presents with a fast shutter and a high ISO in some pretty dim indoor lighting conditions. It's also been nice not needing to edit a whole bunch. Sony's image processing is solid. That IQ debate just isn't as brutal a fight as it was back in the day when camera forums were mostly Canon and Nikon fanboys screaming at each other. JPEGs straight out of the A7 III didn't need much, if any, help, and then I had a whole bunch of raw images in reserve when I did need to dig deep a couple times. Trust is a real big deal, and while I might complain about the heavy-handed auto mode on a Sony phone, on this camera, I often felt the discard shots were more my fault than the A7's fault. It makes really good choices. I spent the week with my favorite trio of lenses, a 24-70 f2.8, a 35 f1.8, and this stunning 50mm f1.4. Now, photography as a technical art, it's still exciting to see how these tools evolve and improve. From the very first time I shot on my Canon 50 f1.4, this little guy right here, moving over to Sony's beast of a lens at the same focal length and aperture. The results are clear. How much sharper this lens is wide open, how soft the focus fall off is, the gorgeous bokeh, it really is a joy to use. But it's not perfect. So close. So here's the deal. I'm old. I learned how to shoot on big old fat DSLRs. I still keep a Canon 7D around, it comes in handy. The ergonomics of a camera body incorporating a mirror and optical viewfinder haven't changed in decades. The thing I love about this body is that it's nice and thick. Mirrorless cameras are shockingly lean. It really is amazing to see a huge sensor in this tiny camera body, but delivering high quality glass for a full frame camera means big lenses, the balance being so forward, and the camera's grip is so small that my first couple days shooting with it were fatiguing. I know people do adapt. This is Sony's third generation, and a fourth is probably right around the corner. It's a really popular solution, but I didn't quite get comfortable with the grip in such a short period of time. Plenty of great considerations how modes and dials are right-hand oriented, as you're probably holding the lens in your left hand or bracing it against your face. But I have to say it's the ergonomics where I kinda like my Panasonic G9 a bit better. The grip is a little chunkier, and the lenses are a lot smaller. Because of the much smaller sensor and that crop factor, you're always dealing with equivalent focal lengths. But the Micro Four Thirds version of a 24-70 looks like this. Sony's 35mm is a lot easier to lug around, but here's the Olympus equivalent. It's so teeny. And the way this lens body needs to flare after the lens mount can be a little rough on my knuckles. I think I got a good handle on this. I think I got used to that, but it is a snug fit. Lastly, the only potential deal breaker for how I get my work done is the tilt only LCD. It's so good for lining up shots, but I really wish we had a flip out screen. I loved it on my Canon Rebel, on my Samsung NX, and now on my Panasonic. More useful in more situations and super helpful for those times you're all by yourself and need to put yourself on camera. But those ergonomic considerations are points to balance against the phenomenal image quality. And if the Sony A7R IV is any indication, Sony is addressing some of my issues with a redesigned grip. More than anything else, the A7 III was a beautiful reminder of how much I used to enjoy taking my nice camera out for a shoot. This little holiday experiment was encouraging. Shooting on phones is great. It's so immediate. And I love pushing phones to their limits. But you know, I really should get my nice camera out of the gadget lab more often. Just because phones wrecked the point and shoot camera market doesn't mean they're taking out the interchangeable lens cameras out there just yet. The A7 III is a lot of fun, but I don't know that I'm personally going to jump systems again. I'm doing okay with Micro Four Thirds, but I will probably be looking at a rental here or there, especially when we get an A7 IV. That's definitely gonna happen. And a major thanks to the folks at Sony, even after making fun of my current camera setup. This was a great time to take a short test drive, and more than a few happy memories were captured on this gear. And I'll, of course, leave some links down below on the kit that I took for a spin. Maybe it's something you might be interested in picking up for yourself. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, and subscribing to this channel. I hope you're all having a happy and healthy holiday season, and you're preserving the highest quality captures of those beautiful family memories. I think we'll be talking about that more over the next year. And if you'd like to help support the production of more camera and audio gear conversations, there are those links down below. Or you could consider joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen. A growing community of fun, like-minded tech pals, a huge resource for me, planning future content. They're good people. I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, and the Facebooks and the Instagrams. And I will catch you all on the next video.